Greetings, listeners. This lecture is being presented for the St. Mary of the Woods College NU 485 Population-Focused Nursing class. It is being conducted by Deanna Nichols, registered nurse, senior in the Baccalaureate Nursing program. This lecture will cover new strategies and facilities to incorporate in the treatment of elderly patients suffering from dementia and Alzheimer's disease. This lecture has been prepared for an audience of caregivers as well as community leaders who can directly influence the construction of assisted living facilities that have been projected to be a necessity in the very near future to manage the demands of the growing elderly population. The learning theory chosen for this health education project is Edward Thorndike's General Theory of Connectionism. This theory explains that learning is the result of associations between stimuli and results. Connectionism not only works for this nurse's educational purposes, but can be incorporated into the proposal in how to change treatment strategies for memory loss patients. This theory consists of three primary laws. Law and effect. Responses to situational connections which are rewarded will be strengthened and become habitual. Law of readiness. Series of responses can be connected together to satisfy a goal. Law of exercise. Connections are strengthened with practice. Later, this theory included belongingness, which means connections are more easily established if the person perceives that the stimuli and the response go together. Basically, that it all makes sense to them. This is particularly beneficial to a person suffering from a memory loss disease. The objectives presented in this lecture include describing the elderly population's growth as it pertains to those dealing with memory loss, such as dementia or Alzheimer's disease. Recognizing strategies to treat these elderly patients who are suffering from dementia or Alzheimer's disease. Identifying alternative approaches to enhance already proven methods of treatment and care. And proposing the use of vacated structures in the area to build new and improved assisted living facilities in the community to prepare for the ever-growing population of elderly citizens in the coming years. At the end of this presentation, the learner will be able to understand the population growth of the elderly community, particularly baby boomers, and the impact it will have on society by the year 2050. The learner will also achieve the ability to recognize new strategies which will assist the elderly and their families in how to better cope with this debilitating, oftentimes frightening, memory loss disease. Alternative approaches will be identified, and with assistance from benefactors, grant funding, and the presence of several vacant buildings in the area, we will be able to put into service new assisted living facilities within our community. Dementia and Alzheimer's disease was the sixth leading cause of death based on death certificate data in the year 2013. Estimates vary, but analysis of data from the Health and Retirement Study estimated that the prevalence of dementia among people older than 70 years of age in the United States in the year 2010 was 14.7%. Currently, the vast majority of individuals living with dementia or Alzheimer's disease are cared for at home by family members. This strategy can have positive aspects for the caregiver as well as the patient. It may bring personal fulfillment, such as satisfaction of helping a family member or friend, and can also lead to the development of new skills and improved family-friend relationships. It may also ease the stress and chaos often experienced by sufferers of memory loss disease by having a sense of continuity of daily routines. To better create a sense of calm and a stress-free atmosphere, family members and caregivers should do their best to identify what kind of day the individual is having. Caregivers should not thrust their world or era into the time and place the memory-challenged loved one is experiencing at that moment. Thrusting current world news and events into the world or era the memory-challenged individual is living in at that moment will only create confusion, agitation, and conflict. Reality orientation must be done only in a controlled therapeutic environment. Sometimes caregivers share their world events with these individuals without recognizing the time or era the individual is experiencing mentally, thus causing more chaos and conflict. Discussions with the memory-challenged individual should be about their world and the era they believe they are living. They should be the center of attention. Caregivers should only share current world events after the time and place the individual is experiencing has been determined. When these events are shared, a conscious effort must be made to ensure that they fit in the time frame in which the individual believes he or she is living. Everything uttered and demonstrated should be meaningful, as it will only be significant if it fits in the individual's world and the era they are living within their mind. Although most people willingly provide care for their loved ones and friends, caring for a person with dementia or Alzheimer's disease at home is a difficult task, which can easily become overwhelming at times. Each day brings new challenges as the caregiver copes with the changing patterns of behavior memory loss disease creates. As the disease worsens, individuals living with dementia or Alzheimer's disease will need more intensive, inpatient care. There are not enough facilities necessary to care for this growing population, and those that are in business are inadequate and very nearly obsolete in this community at this time. The number of elderly people in the oldest age group is projected to be 8.7 million in the year 2030 and will increase to more than 19 million by the year 2050. Of those, as many as 5 million were living with Alzheimer's disease in the year 2013. By the year 2050, this number is projected to rise to 14 million individuals. New state-of-the-art assisted living facilities are being built across the globe, some here in the United States. The Lantern is one such facility built in several cities in the U.S. The interior is designed to replicate a small town where the individual may have lived in their younger years. These facilities have trained staff specializing in memory loss disease. These employees also pose as shop owners and business people to create the illusion that the individual suffering from a memory loss disease is not in a nursing home atmosphere, but is actually in their hometown. The patient's rooms resemble small cottages with front porch and chairs to sit and watch the passers-by. Individuals can go shopping, get a haircut, and stroll the sidewalks while listening to the artificial sounds of birds chirping and wind blowing. The lighting inside the facility mimics natural sunrises with blue skies and clouds, and gradually darkening sunsets. These facilities are built with safety in mind, with limited locked entrances and exits for visitors. Enjoy the video, which explains the facility named The Lantern in more
I'm still
detail.
floored at how nicely it has turned out. It's just fabulous to think that this was a vacant field, an old horse facility, and now we have this beautiful facility, and they kept the horse barn, kept the farmhouse. It's just been a dream come true for the village of South Russell. We're very happy with what's happened.
Gene came to the village with this great concept. And you could tell that he was clearly passionate about what he was doing and what he saw with this property. And he painted a great picture for the village and at that point the Planning Commission and other boards.
He started talking about his thoughts for how to deal with Alzheimer's and dementia patients, and how that building, what we're standing in now, really is an instrumental part of the treatment process for those individuals.
I think this would be a great asset for the people of South Russell. I think both from an economic perspective, but a place for our residents to really feel like is a unique place that sets South Russell apart, is a great resource for the community.
This is one of those facilities that you would want your loved ones to be a part of just because of how beautiful it is. And they've put a lot of thought into security and keeping the facility and their residents secure.
If I had to pick one word to describe the Lantern of South Russell, I would say it would be someone's home. It's home.
Welcoming.
This is kind of a Rockwell painting condensed.
A little town. It's like your own little town.
It mirrors our area, the hardware store, a hair salon.
Each of the residents' homes looks like a home. And then when you actually get down and walk through this main street.
I love Main Street.
You know, we're used to our little village, and this pretty much captured that. So I think people that are from this area are going to feel like they're walking in downtown Chagrin Falls or in the village.
When you match the facility with the care and the modern techniques that Gene is going to use here.
He really, to me, has a great knowledge of Alzheimer's and dementia. Even he was telling me the colors on the walls and the way that things are cornered are all reasons for people with dementia.
It's nice for the family members to come to as well.
And great to hear feedback from our residents that look at this and view this as another asset to the village.
You know, we never dreamed it would be this nice, so we're very pleased.
It's just gorgeous. Gorgeous. I want a room here.
Assisted living facilities in other countries differ in their construction and design by actually being villages. Hundreds of acres are purchased and enclosed with the memory-impaired individual's safety in mind. These residents get to enjoy the great outdoors while receiving appropriate care, all the while reducing stress and chaos that often plague individuals afflicted with dementia or Alzheimer's disease. Another video has been provided for better understanding of this new concept in treatment.
We want to switch gears now and talk about a crippling medical condition. There's no cure and only limited treatment for dementia, a condition that primarily affects the elderly. When someone is diagnosed with dementia, many families choose to put them in a nursing home for round-the-clock care. But CNN chief medical correspondent Dr. Sanjay Gupta found a place in the Netherlands that's unlike any other anywhere in the world. Friday in World's Untold Stories, he takes you inside Dementia Village. Here's a preview.
Well, if you walk in here, this will look like just about any other grocery store to you, but I want to point out a few things that are different. You do see the same products, juices, you can buy just about anything you want, cleaning products, but you'll notice pretty quickly there's no prices on anything. And as you're about to see, there's no money that is exchanged hands either. The customers, as you might guess, a very different type of clientele here. They are residents of this village. They all have severe dementia. Oftentimes, they come here with their caregivers. Ultimately, when they come up to the front desk after buying all their products, they don't exchange any money. And Trudy, who is a staff member, is trained specifically to handle people with dementia.
Strange place. Dr. Sanjay Gupta joins us now from CNN New York. Sanjay, what's it like to be inside that village?
Well, you know, when you think about a village like this, you're talking about every single resident, about 150 of them, all have severe dementia. Well, not mild or moderate dementia, severe. They require 24-hour, 7-day-a-week care. One thing I'll point out, Jonathan, when you walk in, you don't necessarily know who is a resident there versus who are the workers. You saw that grocery store, for example. You saw Trudy. She works there, but she's also been specially trained to handle people with severe dementia, as have the chefs and the waiters at the restaurants, the hair salons, the movie theater. So it's the most unusual place that I've seen in that regard. Normally, you're used to thinking of anonymous wards, blaring televisions, lots of medications when thinking about places for severely demented people. Here you have an entire village, so people are up walking around. It just seemed much more active than I would have otherwise expected.
Well, it seems almost like a movie set. I'm just curious about the real living conditions. What's the living situation like?
Yeah, it's fascinating. So it's several acres. What they try to do is they create these homes where you may have a few residents living, but it's very much predicated on what your life was like prior to developing significant dementia. So, for example, if you were working as a carpenter or as a laborer, your home where you're living now in this tiny little village is going to reflect some of the same sensibilities. If you were someone who worked in entertainment or you're more of an aristocrat, same sort of thing. Everything from the colors, the type of wallpaper, the dishware, all those sorts of things. The goal, Jonathan, is to create some degree of familiarity, some degree of comfort. That appears to be reassuring to a lot of the residents.
Now, I've seen institutions where the elderly suffering from dementia are tied down or even drugged just to keep them in place. What's to keep those people from just leaving?
Yeah, you know, well, pragmatically, there's only one door in and one door out of this particular village, and that door is monitored very carefully. But, you know, you're right. I'm used to seeing some of the same images you are, people wandering, wanting to leave. Here it's very different, I think, in part because there is such a degree of familiarity for people. They do wander around the village, but oftentimes they're going into a restaurant. They're going into the grocery store you saw there. They try and really invoke that. And what they find is that people are getting more exercise, but they're also taking fewer medications. They're eating better. They live longer in this situation as compared to other people with significant dementia. And, you know, as one of the women put it to me, they seem happier. That's an impossible almost thing to measure, but that's sort of their goals, Jonathan.
It's the closest thing, I guess, to offering them real lives, given what they're suffering. Sanjay Gupta, thanks very much. And join us Friday for our World's Untold Stories documentary, Dementia Village. Dr. Sanjay will lead you through that unique place. 4:30 in the afternoon if you're watching from London, 7:30 in Abu Dhabi.
The United States Department of Agricultural Rural Development offers grants and affordable funding for the communities that develop essential services in rural areas. An essential community facility is defined as a resource that provides an essential service to the local population for the orderly development of the community in a primarily rural area. An assisted living facility being built in this area to manage the growing elderly population would fit the essential service description and would be eligible to receive this funding. The growing population of baby boomers and their future medical needs require immediate action and planning. Otherwise, hospitals and nursing homes will be inundated with patients and will be inadequately staffed to handle this possible crisis. It is a fact that this elderly population will grow to massive proportions by the year 2050, and preparations should begin now. Interventions and facilities must be recognized and built to assure this group of citizens receive the care they need and deserve. New techniques should be utilized to ease the burden and stress that many memory loss disease individuals experience. Funding should be allocated and applications for grants should begin immediately to prepare for this coming influx of elderly patients needing specialized care. For testimonials and information regarding new ways to treat and care for patients suffering from dementia and Alzheimer's disease, please visit this link I have provided. We cannot escape the passage of time and the aging process it creates. This topic will affect each and every person watching this video. We need to join together now to create a better future for us all. Thank you for taking the time to participate in this educational lecture. It is my sincere hope that you have taken away knowledge that may help you with a patient or loved one now or in the future. References have been included, and I strongly encourage the learner to visit these websites provided. Again, I thank you for your time.